Today's COVID update is brought to you by Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price but stay for the service.
And we're back, and we're moving into our first conversation for this morning, where we are joined by the O.A.S representative in Belize, Luiz Coimbra. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's wonderful to have you here, and of course, it's the first time we get to have a discussion with you. So welcome to Belize, first of all.
Thank you very much.
All right. Almost a year late, right?
Yes, almost a year here during pandemic times, a very special time,
Yes.
I may say. First of all, I have to say thank you for the invitation and the opportunity to be here. I'm part of your audience, and I have to say thank you to you for the information you provide to me. You make my work easier.
We've helped you with your Belize education. So, Luiz, before we talk about your role here as the representative for the O.A.S, let's dive a bit into some of the other areas that you have served before and what it was like to be asked to serve here.
Look, Belize is easy to me because I feel like I'm home. As a Brazilian, I have to say that this is like my country. You know, people is very cordial. I mean, that's easy to start talking the streets with everybody, and there is no problems in adaptation for me. I feel really happy to be here. Of course, my transition from international employee working for the O.A.S and suddenly be sitting in a desk as trying to be an international diplomat or an international organization diplomat is a different task.
Yeah.
However, it's been easy. It's been an easy task in a sense that not only I was a witness for the transition to the new government, and I have the ears of the government. I mean, this is a government that pays attention to international standards.
Yeah.
I'm talking about health. I mean, I was listening to you this morning regarding the pandemic and the measures that we have to take against the pandemic. This is good sense. This is good ideas. And to be able to listen to these international standards in health, in a peace process, democratic process, human rights is very important. And that's why I say that it makes my work easier when you are in a country where some international standards are being followed.
Absolutely.
And how do you see, on a personal level, how do you see your role in now that you are working in Belize and what you want to accomplish?
First of all, we try to be facilitators. You know, we don't have a solution. The O.A.S is more of a political organization. Of course, the O.A.S is more than just a general secretariat.
Yes.
We have also Pan-American Health Organizations, part of the Inter-American System, Organization of American States. I mean, you have the Inter-American Institute for Agriculture. The O.A.S is much more than just a general secretariat. But as a representative of the general secretariat, I think that one of our main tasks is to coordinate this multilateral facilitation service that we can provide to the countries. I mean, we can provide help, we can provide standards, we can provide facilitation in many issues, including scholarships, including human rights issues, including several of these international mandates that the countries approved at the O.A.S and at the United Nations. And those are the kind of mandates and standards that will try to facilitate the government and the country of Belize.
Yeah. Now, very often, and I'm sure you've perhaps encountered it in the past few months, the role of the O.A.S office in Belize is very much in the public amalgamated with the role of the O.A.S at the Belize-Guatemala border. How do you approach that when you're asked about, well, what is the O.A.S doing at the Belize-Guatemala border, or the continuous confidence building measures taking place there?
Look, we are following a mandate and a decision of the O.A.S Secretary General to be facilitator in the border. We don't have instructions to anybody. In fact, we pay attention, very much attention, to the ministry, Karim Musa, to Minister of defense too, in order to see how we can contribute to the peace. I have an experience as an international employee of working in countries where they had civil wars. Even in Guatemala, long time of civil wars, the work of demining, removal of land mines. The West did a lot of work in Honduras, Guatemala, and El Salvador. I mean, we are used to problematic issues in Central America. However, the border is more of a peace mission. Is in fact a peace mission. This is not only a political issue. We see it as a social issue too. We have families that are divided. They are in both sides of the border, and to them the border makes no sense. The border has no significance. To be able to visit their parents, sometimes a person has to cross the border. And sometimes, nowadays, she or he will have to cross the border undocumented or illegally. That's a horrible word to say. They are not criminals. They are families trying to be united in a very difficult times. Of course, this generates a lot of issues. You have issues, and sometimes things escalate, and escalate too much. And this is a problem for Belize, as is a problem for Guatemala. However, our role as the O.A.S. it tries to de-escalate, to make things more peaceful, to understand the reasons, and to communicate to the government of Belize and the government of Guatemala what's happening. We are going to we visit each time we receive a request from a country. We visit the area. We have to talk with the persons that are being accused or not accused of crossing illegally, of being in a country where they don't belong, or at least officially they don't belong. Then this is a tough, very tough task, very tough task. The O.A.S. Secretary General Almagro sent here a special representative. And he's a seasoned ambassador. He used to be Ambassador Espinosa. He's an Uruguayan ambassador. He used to be ambassador to Brazil, an Uruguayan ambassador to Brazil. I mean that's a very seasoned ambassador. And he's living in the bank. He's living in Benque. I mean, the O.A.S. is doing. We are doing our best to have the best people here in order to develop this idea of peace, and develop this idea that the adjacent border is not a space for disputes, but a space for integration, social integration, cultural integration, and waiting for the decision from the court, from the courts regarding the border.
And how is it that you approach your work in facilitating things? Is it work very? You had mentioned working with Minister Musa, and through what is the process like working along with the government to achieve your mission?
Usually, Minister Musa or Minister Marin, or even the Prime Minister Johnny Briceño, they, as soon as they have any information of an illegal trespassing or something like that, they send a request to the O.A.S. This request is sent to the adjacency zone office, to our office at the adjacency zone, and we will have to go for verifications. Can you imagine verification in a place? Sometimes you have to walk one day through the forest in order to find where they are and to be able to talk with them. This is not an easy task. This is a task. We even lost one colleague in here. COVID killed one of our colleagues. I mean, this is a very difficult task in a moment that we have the border closed. That's difficult. Sometimes you have to go around Guatemala in order to come back to Belize in a different place in the south. I mean, roads are not really helping in many places. We don't have roads, and as I said, we have to walk through the forest. I mean, this is a difficult task, a very specialized task, and of course we are learning on the fly, if I may say. We are learning with the process, and we are trying to adapt to the needs of both countries, of both governments, in order to really fulfill our role as peace pacificators, if I may say, or as peace promoters in the area.
Now, you know, when you mentioned earlier that a part of the reality of what happens very often along the border is that the families that may encroach into Belizean territory are very often poor, and you go through your verification process. Does not there's a mixed level of emotions, ranging from sympathy to anger from the public in the idea of Guatemalans taking up space within Belizean territory. What's your perspective on that?
Of course, we have many times of people trespassing. We
Yeah.
are not just talking about families. We're also talking about organized crime. This is a big issue in Central America. We are happy that in Belize it's a little more controlled and have less homicides, rate of homicides than any other country, many other of our neighbors
Yes.
in Central America. I mean, but this is a big issue. I had the opportunity to go in the south to Toledo 1 week ago and spend some time over there, and I noticed that in some of the indigenous areas, we are probably having some trespassing from organized crime. I imagine that this is happening everywhere in the border. I mean, they use the opportunity. They are ready to use the opportunity for more profits. And this is something that the governments will have to impose the law to see who is there. If this is related to organized crime, we have laws in here in Belize. They have laws in Guatemala too. And let's try to deny them opportunity to make profit. Let's try to deny them opportunity to bring to come to this country and bring all the problems that they bring to any country. I mean, I'm talking about violence, homicides, smuggling, and all other crimes that they can commit. You know?
And is that something that is also part of sort of O.A.S. Help in sort of just monitoring, or at least if there's information that suggests that perhaps there's crime or movement through or across the borders, perhaps help working alongside with the government to either provide information or verify? Is that also something that is part of your mission?
Yes, it is part of the mission of the adjacent zone people. They are there, they are in the bank, they are in some in San Ignacio, they are every day traveling around the adjacent zone. Yes, they have been doing verifications every day. They have been not just verifications, they have been bringing police from Guatemala and police from Belize to meet and discuss and see how they can act better in defending their countries. I mean, not just police, but also military people. They meet from both countries meeting. I mean, this is one of our roles to be sure that dialogue is happening. And in fact, it is happening. And I understand that in the short future, we are going to have a meeting between foreign ministers of Guatemala and Belize, and probably prime ministers. And I hope this is going to go on with our Secretary General Magro. I don't know if they have already a date scheduled, but we are planning for a high-level meeting in order to have conversations that can facilitate the work of the people that's in the adjacent zone, working to bring peace to these families, to these communities, and to Belize and Guatemala.
Yeah. When you talk about the verification process, it oftentimes feels a bit slow. Tell us why.
Marlene, please understand, we lost one colleague. He died. We had to stop. This is a very dangerous moment. Everybody has to be vaccinated, using masks. They are going to go to places where now in the south we have some increase in contagions. I mean, virus is everywhere, and the virus is not resting. We had to stop in order to start again. As soon as Ambassador, I mentioned him already, as soon as Ambassador Espinosa arrived, per instructions of the Secretary General, he started again with the verifications, and we are getting there. We are getting there. We are going to 2 verifications a week, from 0 to 2 verifications a week. That's not an easy task at all, but we are doing our best. Yes, we are improving in speed, if I may say so. I mean, more verifications in order to be sure that we cover all the areas of the adjacent zone.
I'm sorry to hear you lost a colleague. Yeah.
It was very sad to us. Thank you.
And from your view, do you think that the status of the relationship, let's say, between Belize and Guatemala as facilitated through O.A.S. is in a good place to have that dialogue and to work together to solve a lot of these issues which are affecting both countries?
Look at this. If If Foreign Minister Curtin is talking with the Guatemalans, they are talking. That's the best thing that can happen, dialogue. There is no democracy without dialogue. There is no peace without dialogue. When the army is talking, when the police is talking, when we are going to verifications and talking with the community, oh, this is the best thing we can do. The best thing is dialogue in this process. There is no thing that can be more successful for peace than to start when we are talking. We can find solutions and not to face each other, not to go against each other. Yes, I think that we are now in a position to say that Belize and Guatemala are talking, they have dialogue, and this is progress. This is a good progress for the establishment of peace.
Yeah. As you mentioned earlier, the case is at the ICJ, and that does, of course, it will take a period of time, but it does complicate matters in terms of perceptions on both sides of the border, and may escalate kind of the tensions that were waning for a while. Is there any preemptive plan on how to ensure that things can stay peaceful?
You said escalate, plan, de-escalate, train police, train military people here and in Guatemala. Practice dialogue, bring them together as it's happening. I mean, the last month we had at least 4 meetings between police and army, Guatemalans and Belizeans. I mean, this is something. This is a process. We don't have a final. We don't have a solution, but we are sure that the process of gaining peace is a process that has to go through dialogue. Has to go through dialogue. We are 2 peaceful countries. Belize is a peaceful country, and there is no other solution for that. And I understand perceptions. I understand that people think, "Oh no, what a problem! They are trying to take Belize or something like that." No, this is something that we can explain. I think the community, the Belizean community, should be sure that any decision from the court will be based in judges, well-seasoned judges, that will decide based in international law. You know, that's not something that you come up with an idea like a crazy idea of changing countries or changing names of countries. Nothing like that. Nothing like that. We have to be sure that the decision of the court is going to be a decision that will bring to Belize and to Guatemala stability. And that's the most important thing. There's no doubt that this is Belize, this is Guatemala, and let's go and build our countries. Because we are both communities that need each other. Both countries, they need each other. I mean, all Central America has to be together, has to be coordinated. And then we come to another issue, is that when I first said that I moved in here without being in Belize before the starting, I told you that. And it was my first trip to Belize was to move to Belize. That's not that I don't know about Belize. Not only because I did some work at the O.A.S. Regarding Belizean issues. I mean, the crime observatory in Belize is something that I helped to set up from Washington, D.C. a long time ago. But also, the Assistant Secretary General of the O.A.S., Ambassador Nestor Mendes, is a Belizean own. He loves Belize, his country. It's his country. And I had the opportunity to talk with him many times about Belizean issues. And I know a little bit about this country. I know enough to say that you are very cordial people. You are going for peace. In any solution, it's going to be a peaceful solution. I mean, and I know more than that. I know that Belize is a unique country in Central America, not because of language, not because of culture, but because it's a country that respects the environment. Oh, if you see pictures from the satellite and you see the border between Belize and Guatemala, you can say, this is Belize, this is Guatemala, this I have the environment preserved. Things like that, culture. I mean, the extraordinary mix of cultures that you have in here, it's an example for the world. How you can have a country with 5, 6, 7 different languages living in peace together. This is an example for my country, Brazil. This is an example for any other country in the world, not just in the Western Hemisphere. I mean, you have to be proud of your country. That's something that the Belizeans needs to know. You are very special. very special in the world. And nowadays, even more special.
You know, you could keep on going. We love hearing good things about Belize. But, you know, and you touched on a few things there. And very often, you know, in speaking with representatives of the O.A.S, we speak only of the work that you're doing with Belize and Guatemala relations. But let's talk about some of the other areas. And knowing or doing your research and moving to Belize, what were some of your priorities that you were hoping to investigate and see whether there was room for further collaboration?
Look, scholarships, I think is important. Education can change lives. Everybody says that.
Yeah.
But you have to promote this. You have to be very active. I'm happy that since I'm in here, the O.A.S signed contracts for scholarships for 160 Belizeans, less than 1 year. 106. I mean, I'm sorry, 160 Belizeans. This is a process that we are very careful to promote and to publicize. We have a Facebook web page, a Facebook page where we publicize every day new opportunities for the scholarships. I mean, not only scholarships to have Belizeans with better professional skills, but also Belizeans that will be able to come back to the country and help the country. I mean, help with their brains, help the development of Belize. That's not a scholarship that you go to the United States and stay there. That's a scholarship that you have to come back here, that you have to bring, after 2 years at least, you have to come back in here and contribute to your country. This is one important area. I mean, the whole area of human development, the tourism. I mean, the O.A.S has been pushing for some activities in training people. I did receive the other day in my office, I did receive a person that's responsible for hurricane alerts in the north, in the Orange Walk, in the north of the country. And that's nice. And he told me that he was trained by the O.A.S. I mean, he received specific training of alerts from natural disasters from the O.A.S. I mean, this is one specific area that I think that the O.A.S can contribute to Belize. But in order to be facilitators, we have to learn to listen and to see how are the needs of the country nowadays. And that's not just the government that tells us what are the needs. The communities. Belize has an extraordinary, well-developed civil society. I mean, the case of a senator for an NGO is a unique case. I don't know any other country that has a senator appointed by the NGOs. I mean, a senator appointed by the churches, a senator appointed by the communities. This is very important, and this makes us our work easier because we can listen to the leaders, to community leaders, to indigenous community leaders. I told you that I went to Toledo to visit the Maya, Mopan, and Kikche aldeias. Today, 10 a.m., let me plug this
10
in.
p.m.
10 a.m.
Oh, okay.
10 a.m. today, we are going to have a conversation with Governor General Froila Salam. Tell me something, in what other country in the world you have a head of state who is an indigenous community leader? We now have in Canada. I think Canada checked Belize, learned about Belize immediately nominated an indigenous leader. I mean, this is something that makes, as I said, my work easier because I can listen to the community. They can express, not just the government. Oh, thank you very much for plugging in the conversation today. I mean, the Governor General is an interesting figure, commanding figure, and that's something that can make every Belizean proud too.
So what's the focus of the discussion today?
Indigenous education. Indigenous education. I can talk about my own experience. I'm a sociologist, and I had no knowledge about indigenous Central American culture in my many years of study. I studied in Brazil, and I had to go to the United States to meet a Mexican from south of Mexico, Zapotec Mexican, to learn how important it is, the culture that was developed in this region, the millennial culture that was developed in this region. And as a descendant of these people, Dam Froila as a descendant of this culture, Dame Froila represents. But she also went through a very difficult, I imagine, very difficult times as a little girl studying, because this is the kind of experience that most indigenous peoples have when they go to school. And I'm talking not about Belize, can talk about Brazil, I can talk about Canada, where the indigenous people also have a lot of challenges in education. Dame Froila is going to talk about her experience. I hope in a very informal way, talk about her experience as an indigenous girl that had to study and now is the Governor General.
Yeah.
An example for every Belizean, an example for every young girl and young boy in the world today, to see that they can, if they study, if they are prepared, they can do anything they want. That's the thing that we want to show with the conversation with Dame Froila today. 10 a.m., please.
And it'll be online, so people can see it from work and they can be able to tune in.
Yes, they can tune in. They can use the Facebook page of the O.A.S, Organization of American States National Office in Belize, Facebook page, or they can turn to Zoom as you are publicizing here on the screen.
You know, as you talk about hearing from the community and working along, I'm interested to know some of what on outside of work maybe, what are some of the things that you've possibly grown and enjoyed about Belize and speaking with members of the community?
After 8 months in Belize, without being able to cross a border because I need authorization to leave the country, I had the opportunity to go everywhere. And let me say something, that's incredible how Belize has different places with different communities talking. And I can talk about the Mennonites, I can talk about the archaeological sites, Lamanai in the north, Chinautunich. I mean, culturally, and it is very important. And socially it's very important because you can meet different people. Yes, I understand that in some areas, they need more development. In some other areas, they need more protection of the environment. In some other areas, they need better education. And in many areas in Belize, we need a better health. I mean, we need to bring here more doctors. We need to be able to provide to Belizean society universal health. This is a challenge, not just for Belize. I understand that this is a challenge everywhere in the Americas. If you go to the United States, you have to pay for a private doctor. It will be very expensive. A lot of people in the United States don't have health insurance, and a lot of people suffer. Maybe they are in a worse situation than the Belizeans. But let's not to forget that in Belize, we need better health too. I mean, you are doing a great job with the vaccination. You are doing a great job with publicizing issues of, as I said, about masks, about how to face the problem of the pandemic. But we need to be prepared, to better prepare to serve the people with better health services. This is something of the things you asked me, what you heard from the community. Yes, this is one of the main issues that I heard from the community. I understand that the government and Minister Shabat is doing a lot of work in order to provide better health services. I understand that the Pan American Health Organization is very active in Belize. I mean, Dr. Jack, the representative in here, is very active. I understand that some other countries are contributing. I just heard you saying that the United States donated enough vaccines for the whole country. For the whole country. However, we still need to have better doctors in here. We have to find a way to keep the doctors in here. They go to Jamaica and they stay there. They go to the United States to have their classes to study, and they stay there. That's about time for them to bring back the brains that will make this country better.
And under the scholarship program, does it allow for persons to be trained in the medical field?
Some of them, yes.
Okay.
Very few for now.
Yeah.
We are doing an effort to have more. This is a very expensive universities usually. And that's more difficult for scholarships. But yes, we are trying to have some, and we are trying to do more. That's not only medical issues, and that's not only medical classes, but we need more people with STEM, I mean technical people, not just medicine, but engineers, I mean technology areas. We need to be able to bring back to Belize the brains, the Belizean brains that are in the diaspora right now. They have to come back. That's about time for Belize to congregate the best brains and to better serve the community.
Now, earlier when you were speaking about some of your areas of passion, you were saying, how important the idea is to have a human rights focus. Any plans in being able to work along with agencies, improve upon human rights education in the country? How do you see yourself fitting in there?
Human rights is very important for the O.A.S. In fact, one of the main slogans, if I may say so, of Secretary General Almagro is to provide more rights for more peoples. I mean, we are not just talking about the human rights that of the American Convention of Human Rights of 1948. Remember that the American Convention precedes the UN Convention on Human Rights. Well, the Western Hemisphere has a long tradition of fighting for human rights. Now we are pushing not only the tradition on human rights, but more rights for more people, rights for transgenders, rights for people that have special needs, new rights. But how to promote there? First of all, one of the very important things is to be able to train people on human rights. I mean, police needs to be trained. You don't learn by yourself on the fly. You have to be trained. I mean, the O.A.S. provides this kind of training for police, for public safety personnel. Not only train, but promote human rights. At the same time, working together with the NGOs, working together with the civil society, in order to be sure that we are watching not just the government, but watching how the society is promoting human rights, is going through this process of affirmation of human rights. We are happy that Belize has contributed in indigenous rights, in many of the human rights, has contributed in acting together with the multilateral agencies, and including the O.A.S., the Inter-American Commission of Human Rights, and the Inter-American Court of Human Rights. We are happy that the government has this decision of follow-up in this multilateral process. Human rights is not just talking about rights, but it's talking about wellness, a good life, and to be able to have a safe life, not to be afraid of living. I mean, yes, the O.A.S. has the commitment. The Commission of Human Rights and the Court of Human Rights are very active in the whole hemisphere. And in fact, we are living better times than we used to live. I mean, if you think that the Western Hemisphere had several dictatorships, my country went through dictatorship for 20 years. Argentina, Peru, many other countries, big countries in the Americas, had this problem with the military dictatorships. You never had this in here. I mean, we are talking about a different level of problems, We live in an open society in Belize. The efforts of Belize for open government, the efforts of the government of Belize to respect the citizenship, to respect the human rights, shows that we are in a different level. We are in a different league. We are not talking about a country where human rights is a big problem. In fact, we have some examples in the Central America, and we have some examples in the America nowadays, where you have some much bigger problems for democracy and for human rights than we have here in Belize. Again, we are in a country where open government, not just open government, but the participation of civil society shows that you can be happy to live in a country where human rights are respected.
All right. So today we have the dialogue taking place with the Governor General and Assistant Secretary General Nesta Mendez will also be participating in that. That happens at 10 a.m. And what else is on the horizon that you can tell us about as we close off?
Oh, look, the O.A.S. has plans for Belize as has plans for the Americas. However, as I said at the beginning, we are facilitators. We have to listen to see what Belize really needs, not just the government, the communities, I mean, the citizenship, but also how we are going to get rid of this pandemic. This is the main issue today. How we are going to be able to face a totally different world. I can cross the border. I'm not talking about myself, I'm talking about the Belizeans in general. I mean, this is a different world. And schools, how about schools? How you can put the schools back to work? How you can put the students back? I don't want to see students being targeted by organized crime. That's easy when you have people, kids with 15, 16, 17 years old, maybe younger than that, doing nothing the whole day. This is a big issue, a big problem. I mean, as a part of the O.A.S, I would love to be able to act as facilitator for Belize to open the schools in a way that's safe, safe for the teachers, safe for the kids, safe for the families. I mean, but you have to find a solution for that. I understand that the government is planning to open very soon the schools, not only presential, but also online, some online, some. We have to learn how to do that. The O.A.S has trainers, has people that's been working on online services. In fact, we have a project with resources from Spain called Pro Futuro. And we have been discussing with the government, with the Minister of Education in here, about bringing the resources of Pro Futuro. And Pro Futuro is a project that the O.A.S has in Jamaica and some other countries in the Americas, and in some other countries of the world, not managed by the O.A.S. But that's an opportunity to bring to students online resources. I mean, servers that can have all the curricula of the country, and the teachers will be able to access, to grade the students. I mean, a totally online system of education. But this is something that we are learning on the fly. We are also learning. We can share experience from other countries, but we are all in the same boat. We are all learning on the fly, but we have to find a solution. That is not fair with our youth. That's not fair with our kids, that this generation is going to be marked forever. Nobody can have a kid 1-2 years out of school. There's no family that can accept this as normal. This is not a new normal. We have to find a new normal. A new normal, maybe using masks, maybe with a part of online studies, but we have to find a solution that put our kids back in school. And I'm sure that if the government needs, the O.A.S is going to be committed to act as facilitators, to provide services, training, I mean, everything we can to have a new normal that's acceptable for the students, for the communities, for the kids.
All right. I'm sure their education counterparts who heard that just now, and they'll contact you today.
That's excellent.
But Luiz, this has been a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much for joining us and speaking so passionately about the work that has been ongoing.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much to you both for the opportunity to be here. It is a pleasure to me. And please think that the O.A.S office is your house. The O.A.S office is here to facilitate.
All right.
Thank you to all Belizeans.
And remember to stay safe.
Be safe, not only us, but everybody here, your audience. Please be safe. Use masks, vaccinate, please. Thank you very much.
All right. And following up on the concept of children in this country and talking about their rights, we are going to be focusing our next segment on the upcoming National Children's Parliament, an opportunity for Belizean children to have a voice in the House of Representatives. Your child may be interested. We'll tell you how to apply after the break.
This COVID update was brought to you by Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service.